Hello everybody, Bloody Iron here with Pazzo Gaming, continuing our arcade map Spotlight series. In this video we are covering the arcade map Colonial Line Wars. It is a classic arcade map in which it is a combination of a solo and yet team-based line reverse tug of war. So similar to Income Wars and some of the other maps that we've shown here, there are lanes, in this case there's 3 instead of just 1 combined lane, in which you are going to be facing your units against the opponent's units. Again, you don't control them in this case. However, as you can see, I have my own lane, and there's also my teammates with their own lanes here. Now, I'll cover some of the elements in which it is a combination of both the team and solo game. So to start off, the units that you begin with is the initial kind of tier 1, 2, and 3 constructor, and then you have your research facility here, and then you have a constructor which constructs tier 4 as well as hires mercenaries. So all of these are bound by default to 1, 2, and 3, and in order for you to summon the units that go down your path here, you construct structures, and the way that you build them here actually results in layouts as they come out. So let's get some more Zerglings here. And as you can see, because I sucked them out a bit more, they're coming a bit more forward here. And based on what units that you're building and how you want to place them, you can actually use this to your advantage for flanking purposes or making them wrap around or just bunching them up. There's many different ways that you can build your buildings here. So I'm going to start researching zealots here. Again, research facility, and it was the available tier 1 unit. Now, to research additional tiers, you go to the research facility, then go into the corresponding tier and research it, and then you can research the units at that tier. Now, I'm going to not get into those tiers just yet because it's fairly expensive, and I really want to get some of these zealots out onto the field because they're pretty good early on. As you can see, my opponent already has a zealot and a hydralisk. I haven't yet found out the good scenarios for running hydralisk, so I'm going to avoid investing in them. Now, in these lanes, you'll notice that there's these resource markers here, resource beacons. Now, the way resources work in this map is the team earns resources based on the number of beacons that are controlled by your team. So if you take a look at the mini-map here, you'll notice that these two here are green, this one's, well, they're fighting back and forth. And then these ones over here are blue. So the green ones are the ones that our team controls. And the amount of resources all of us get is based on that success. So in addition to that, you can actually invest minerals into different lanes depending on how successful they are. Generally, if a lane is unsuccessful, you don't want to invest in them. But investments are kind of game-wide. You can't really undo them. So a lane may be doing well early on, and then may not be doing so well later on. I'm going to start researching tier 2, get a few more units out here in the field. So for the objective of the game, the objective is to break through their units and then break through their defenses and then to destroy this building here. So if this top lane were to break through, it'd follow this path and then just kind of go down and kill that building. So that's another example of how, while it is a solo game, it's also a team game at the same time, because if you let the enemy's units through in your lane, you're letting your team down. Now if you take a look at the top right, there's some information here. This is the countdown timer before spawning. Spawning happens every 30 seconds, and you get minerals every 15 seconds. This here is the chart of investment, so it shows the west side and the east side, and then the amount of investment in each of the lanes, and the colors corresponding to the players also. This generally kind of corresponds to my investment. The numbers are a little confusing, and how this translates into actual minerals is a bit of witchcraft, not really outlined by the map developer, and I haven't really sat down and done the math myself. I'll actually build some more units here. I am going to research. Let's see, let's take a look at what they have here. I'm going to research some fire bats. I'm going to hold off on those. I also like to get High Templars, but in this case, I'm going to be getting fire bats earlier on. So when a player on your team invests in a lane, everybody actually gains from that investment. So if I invest in bottom because they're doing actually pretty well, we'll all gain income based on when that comes in. And I'm going to research some Scion Storms. So I just built these buildings. They missed the spawn time, but they're going to come in just now. Oh, seem to be working out quite nicely. So another element that you might notice here is the supply limit. The supply limit is to, as always, control how big your army can get, but you can actually sell buildings and get 75% of it back if you run out of supply. And even if you want to change the formation of your units, you can sell them. It's going to be, you're going to lose out on minerals quite a bit, but if it is going to work out substantially better, it might be worthwhile. It's very situational to do those kinds of things. Generally, if you're going to be selling your buildings, you're going to be selling them and reinvesting in higher tier units. I'm going to build some High Templars that stay in the back because they're fragile. And I'm going to start investing in my lane here because we're doing quite well. So you saw those two turrets there, and you saw them early on my side. Those are more to suppress early aggression so that the minimum one resource is maintained for a good amount of time, but not forever. And since I have a fairly substantial army at this point, I just kind of walked over their turrets. So if you find yourself in a bind in this game, there's actually several ways that you can recover from this. There's plea for help, which I think later in the game you can't get, but this is a one-time use where the Protoss army comes in and just follows down this path till about halfway, destroys everything in its path. And then there's also Wraith Run and Spore Salvo. So these two unlock at different tiers. Wraith Run is tier 2, Spore Salvo is tier 3. So Wraith Run is very similar to the Plea for Help, where you have two Wraiths flying down the alley here, so to say, dropping some bombs on enemies that are in here. It's not as devastating as the Plea for Help, but you can request it multiple times in the game. The Spore Salvo sends to all 3 lanes. Oh, I'm going to invest at the top here. See, look, that is what a Wraith Run looks like. And as you can see, oh no, it does actually go the whole lane. I didn't realize that. Foot in mouth. Yep, all the way. That's curious. Templar. So as you can see on the top, we have all 3 there. So generally, it's going to be worthwhile to invest in the top. As you can see, my allies are also doing the same. So we're all benefiting from said investments. I should probably start researching tier 3. Generally, you want to research a new tier early on because the tier research takes a lot of time, but the individual units don't take that long of a time. 4 shy, that's really annoying. Now, in addition to these recovery mechanisms, which are on your constructor, by the way, you can also switch to your high tier constructor and summon mercenaries. So the high tier constructor has 150 energy and can summon these units. These are tier 1, these unlock at tier 2, these unlock at tier 3. Now the problem with them, the limitation, is that they only go to about here. Once they get there, they just despawn. So as you can see, they're kind of pushing into me. Let's see if they're going to push far enough. I might summon some things in a second here to demonstrate this. But yeah, they're pushing me in here. So I'm gonna summon some units here. So the energy regenerates over time, and there's quite a good variety of different units that you can get. Oh, I guess it was back there. I thought it was further up here. Alright, so... Let's get some more Templars then. Oh, bottom's in trouble here. Let's see how they're doing. Now the other, there's another way that you can actually work with your team here. I can actually come down here and drop some Templars, should I be so inclined, and they'll go and fight in my allies' lane and help them out. So I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to build a little bit in the bottom lane. Would you just let him in? There we go. Let's build one over there so they don't get body blocked. I'll just leave it at that for now. Okay, so I have tier 3 unlocked now. Let's take a look at the units that they have. And I'm going to research Ultralisks. Let's do that. Yeah, looks like these Templars are helping bottom quite a bit. At least enough. Am I red? Oh, I guess I'm red. Go figure. Alright, so we're not going to spend too much more time on this, but I do really want to show you Ultralisks before I let you go here. Come on, hurry up.
Upgrade complete.
Here we go. Oh no, I just missed it! No! Oh. Ugh. Oh well. Then I'm gonna drop some siege breakers also, because tanks are awesome. All right, Ultralisks, here we go. So moving up in tiers is generally a good idea, but you don't want to overextend yourself from an economic perspective. Doing it too early can make you actually lose the game, but waiting too long, you'll lose strategic advantage. As you can see here, my two Ultralisks, as well as the tanks, are substantially turning around the tug of war here. So this gives you an initial impression of Colonial line wars here. And again, I've been Bloody Iron with Pazzo Gaming, and there's a ton of other sweet videos that we put together here: Minecraft, StarCraft 2, arcade maps. We're working on other maps and other videos too. So if you like what you see here, subscribe, upvote. If you don't like, downvote. You know, send us comments. Any requests that you have for particular maps, we'll cover them too. And keep on gaming.